Today, I'll explore three groundbreaking developments advancing hydrogen's adoption. First, I'll examine Spain's rail crisis and the potential of Hydrail trains as a resilient alternative. Second, I'll delve into geological hydrogen again, which is a naturally occurring resource with vast energy potential. And third, I'll review Italy's pioneering test of green hydrogen in an industrial plant. The focus today is on the technological innovation and economic implications for investors, policymakers, and analysts assessing scalability, environmental performance, and market potential. All of this on today's Hydrogen Podcast. Our first segment reviews a May 16th article from Forbes detailing Spain's April 2025 train blackout, which exposed vulnerabilities in its grid-dependent rail system and spotlighted Hydrail, or hydrogen-powered trains, as a promising solution. Spain's rail network, reliant on 19th century overhead electrification, ground to a halt during a massive power cut affecting the Iberian Peninsula and southern France, stranding passengers, some of them in tunnels. The article highlights Hydrail's advantages. Trains carry hydrogen on board, eliminating grid dependency and costly electrification. Spain has explored Hydrail since 2006, with Talgo developing the world's first high-speed Hydrail train, set for deployment in 2025. Globally, Germany operates Alstom's Coradia Island, and China runs hydrogen trams in Foshan, and California launches a hydrogen passenger line in the summer of this year. Rising copper prices, driven by energy transition demands, further favor Hydrail, which uses less copper than traditional systems, potentially financing transitions by salvaging existing infrastructure. Hydrail trains use fuel cells to convert hydrogen into electricity, powering electric motors with no NOx, SOx, or PM2.5 emissions, as the process produces only water vapor. Scalability is strong for commuter and regional lines, with Germany's 14 Coradia Island trains covering 1,200-kilometer routes. High-speed Hydrail, as Talgo pioneers, faces challenges due to hydrogen storage, but innovations in compressed hydrogen tanks are closing the gap. Spain's low-density regions with high electrification costs make Hydrail economically viable, though refueling infrastructure requires investment. The technology's flexibility suits diverse applications, from freight in Sweden to trams in China, with no grid-related disruptions. Hydrail reduces CapEx by $10 to $15 million per mile compared to electrification, with maintenance savings of about $130,000 per mile annually. This per Stan Thompson of the Mooresville Hydrail Initiative. Global rail electrification costs $500 billion annually, while Hydrail's hydrogen costs $3 to $6 per kilogram with renewable-powered electrolysis, making it competitive for non-electrified routes. Spain's $20 billion rail modernization budget could redirect funds to Hydrail, leveraging copper salvage valued at $10,000 per ton in this year. The $100 billion global rail market sees growing hydrogen investment, with Alstom's $1 billion in contracts. However, refueling stations and tariff risks increase costs by 10 to 15%. And private equity is eyeing Hydrail for its long-term returns, particularly in Europe and Asia. Spain's crisis reframes Hydrail as a resilient grid-independent solution, challenging the dominance of electrified rail. And Talgo's high-speed rail breakthrough positions hydrogen as a scalable transport fuel, with Spain potentially leading Europe's shift. This alignment with global trends, as seen in California and China, signaling a broader transition to hydrogen-powered mobility. Our second segment explores a January 7th ABC News article on geological hydrogen, a naturally occurring resource hailed as a clean energy source with the potential to power the planet for 170,000 years. Geological hydrogen, formed through processes like serpentinization, is found in underground reservoirs, with the U.S. Geological Survey estimating the global deposits could supply 10 trillion tons for millennia. Companies like Koloma and HyTerra are drilling in Kansas and Nebraska, with Koloma raising $245 million. The U.S. Department of Energy's $20 million research program and projects in Australia, Canada, and Oman signal growing interest. Unlike renewable-powered electrolysis, geological hydrogen requires no electricity, offering a low-cost alternative, though extraction faces technical challenges like reservoir mapping and purity. Geological hydrogen is extracted via drilling similar to natural gas, but producing no NOx, SOx, or PM2.5 during extraction, as it bypasses combustion or chemical processing. Scalability is promising but uncertain. as reservoir sizes vary, requiring advanced seismic imaging and drilling. Purity issues such as nitrogen or helium contamination demand purification, adding complexity. The technology suits stationary applications like power plants and ammonia production, with potential for transport if liquefied. Compared to electrolysis, it's energy efficient, but unproven reservoirs and exploration risks limit immediate deployment. And research in Oman and Canada suggests scalability by 2030. Production costs are estimated at $0.5 to $1 per kilogram, far below renewable powered electrolysis at $3 to $6, or hydrocarbon-derived hydrogen with CCS at $2 to $3 per kilogram, making it the cheapest hydrogen source. Global hydrogen market, which is projected at $2 billion by 2030, could see geological hydrogen capture 10 to 20% if reserves are proven. CapEx for exploration and infrastructure is significant, but Koloma's $245 million funding reflects investor confidence. The U.S.'s $10 billion hydrogen market and tax credits bolster economics, though trade barriers raise costs by 10 to 20%. Private equity is drawn to geological hydrogen's low-cost profile, with venture capital fueling startups like HyTerra. Geological hydrogen redefines hydrogen as a natural resource akin to oil or gas, challenging the narrative of manufactured hydrogen dominance. Its low-cost and clean profile could disrupt markets, positioning regions like the U.S. and Australia as hydrogen superpowers, with implications for energy independence and global trade. Our third segment reviews a May 15th Reuters article on Italy's first industrial test of green hydrogen, where Italgas and Edison Energia will supply a blend containing up to 20% green hydrogen to a Granarolo plant in Sardinia. Italgas, Europe's largest gas distributor, and EDF's Edison Energia signed a contract to deliver a natural gas blend with up to 20% green hydrogen to Granarolo's dairy plant starting September of this year. The hydrogen, produced via renewable-powered electrolysis at an Italgas facility in Sardinia, marks Italy's first industrial application of such a blend. The initiative supports the EU's energy transition, but high production costs have slowed green hydrogen adoption. The project leverages Sardinia's renewable energy surplus, aiming to reduce reliance on hydrocarbon-derived hydrogen in industrial processes like food production. Renewable-powered electrolysis produces hydrogen with no NOx, SOx, or PM2.5 using solar or wind energy to split water. The 20% hydrogen blend mixed with natural gas is combusted in Granarolo's plant, reducing pollutant emissions compared to pure natural gas. Scalability is moderate, constrained by electrolyzer capacity and grid integration. The technology suits industrial applications with potential for higher blends as burners advance. Sardinia's renewable surplus ensures production reliability, but scaling to other regions requires grid upgrades. The process cleanliness supports EU goals, though electrolysis energy intensity remains a challenge. Green hydrogen, which can cost between $3 and $6 per kilogram, compared to hydrocarbon-derived hydrogen with CCS at $2 to $3 per kilogram, making the 20% blend cost competitive for niche applications. The EU's $100 billion hydrogen market by 2030 drives demand, with Italy's $5 billion industrial sector as a key market. CapEx for Sardinia plant is estimated at $50 to $100 million, with subsidies covering 20 to 30%. Italgas's $10 billion market cap and EDF's $15 billion provide financial stability, but tariff risks increase costs by 10 to 15%. Private equity interest is growing, with investors eyeing EU hydrogen subsidies. The project's small scale limits immediate impact, but success could spur wider adoption in food and chemical industries. Italy's test positions green hydrogen as a viable industrial fuel, bridging the gap between research and application. It challenges the dominance of hydrocarbon-derived hydrogen, signaling Europe's commitment to a cleaner industrial process. Success could accelerate EU hydrogen infrastructure, with Italy as a model for small-scale renewable-driven projects. All right, that's it for me, everyone. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a good review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. That would be a tremendous help to the show. And as always, if you ever have any feedback, you're welcome to email me directly at info@thehydrogenpodcast.com. So until next time, keep your eyes up and honor one another.